Muchas gracias, Diana, por esas palabras y por marcar una pauta para el resto de la conferencia que sin duda va a ser muy productiva y muy valiosa. Buenos días, good morning, everyone. My name is Alejandro Olivo. I'm the Deputy Managing Director here at Nadbank. It is now my honor to introduce our next keynote speaker, Mr. Rob Black. Mr. Rob Black is Secretary of Economic Development for the state of New Mexico. He was appointed in September of 2024. So at Nadbank, we're very proud to celebrate Secretary Black's first year in office and recognize your impactful leadership. Thank you. Secretary Black is a seasoned economic development leader with over 25 years of experience, primarily working in the states of New Mexico and California. His career has been defined by coalition building, strategic project management, and driving initiatives that foster economic growth. Before his appointment as secretary, Mr. Black served as president and CEO of the New Mexico Chamber of Commerce. During his tenure, he launched transformative programs such as Be Pro, Be Proud, a statewide career and technical education engagement initiative, and the New Mexico Organized Retail Crime Association, aimed at protecting local businesses from criminal activity. In addition to his local leadership, Secretary Black brings a global perspective to public policy, having worked internationally with the Carter Center and USAID in various capacities in Africa. He holds a Juris Doctor from UC San Francisco School of Law and graduated with honors from the University of New Mexico in political science. Please join me in welcoming Secretary Black to the podium.
Good morning. How's everybody doing today? Let me see if this thing works. It does. Okay, now I got to go backwards. There we go. It is a pleasure to be here. John, Alejandro, thank you so much for the invitation to participate in this conversation over the next couple of days. I could not be more honored, and I couldn't be more honored to sit in the role that I get to sit to at the invitation of the governor as the Cabinet Secretary for Economic Development for the great state of New Mexico. And what you see there is our roadrunner. It is our state bird. For us, it is a symbol of resilience and creativity. To live in the desert and thrive in the desert, as you all know, you have to be creative. You have to be tough. These guys eat rattlesnakes. They're tough, they're fast, they're creative, and we believe they represent New Mexico's spirit really, really well. But part of how that spirit works is being open to collaboration, global collaboration. Now, while you may not think of a roadrunner being open to that sort of collaboration, what that gets to again to this issue of resilience and the creativity to survive. Our global collaborations and innovation touch things that we all touch every day. So I've got my phone here. How many of you used your phone to get here today? Raise your hand. Did you? Yeah. Might have booked a flight, might have checked in with it, paid something for it, used your Uber for it. This technology is dependent on the supply chains that anchor it. Those supply chains are anchored in the border and in the Borderplex region, from Foxconn to Pegatron to Symetrex. But that phone, that technology doesn't do any good unless you've got one of these, right? It's your power cord. This is made by Admiral Cable in Santa Teresa. It is the infrastructure that allows you to use that technology, but it doesn't work unless it's got electrons. We need the power to run that technology to feed that infrastructure. And then finally, water. Water is life in the border and in New Mexico. And without that focus on water, sustainability, the environment, none of these other things work. So in New Mexico, These are the ways that we think about economic development: technology, infrastructure, sustainability. That last picture was Admiral Cable, by the way, in Santa Teresa, 100,000 square foot plus manufacturing facility. Why New Mexico? We think that we have some really unique competitive advantages in our state. And sorry to get a little bit New Mexico centric. That is my job. I'm the guy who, I usually have pom-poms and cheer about it. But I'm here, and I do want to, it is about collaboration, and it's about how we work together and how we partner with Arizona, Texas, California, Mexico. But I'm going to talk a little bit about New Mexico and why we think that we're a unique place to partner with. Our low cost of living is much lower than average, especially of those border states, but as the US in general. So that creates a really strong workforce value. Our region, the Borderplex region, so if you look at El Paso, New Mexico, Juarez area, that region has some of the largest manufacturing workforces in North America. 570,000 industrial labor force, 300,000 manufacturing jobs, 7 regional universities, and 150,000 students in colleges in that border region. And here's where I get a little bit more New Mexico centric. We have the best tax structure for manufacturing in the Western United States. We have no tax on inventory, unlike Arizona, Texas, and California. It's a major advantage if you're wanting to do manufacturing in partnership in the United States. Our state provides very aggressive incentives. Our local economic development program, LEDA, we can help build capital infrastructure, pay for leases. Our JTIP programs can pay up to 6 to 8 months, up to 70 to 80% of your employees' salaries while they're on the job the first 6 months. Our entire county of Doñana County, where Las Cruces is, the entire county is a foreign trade zone. But our biggest advantage is our partnership with Mexico. The partnership with Mexico is really unique for New Mexico. And I know that we're having some larger federal challenges between our countries, but at a subnational level, we are committed to this partnership with our partners in Mexico. When you think about the relationship there, it predates statehood. In fact, it predates the United States. Our relationship with Mexico has been around for hundreds of years prior to the founding of the United States. So it is deep, it's cultural, it's historic. I was honored to be able to travel with Governor Lujan Grisham to President Sheinbaum's inauguration last year to celebrate that ongoing partnership and commitment to each other, to the prosperity that our shared families have on both sides of the border, because so many of our families are shared and our communities are shared. And some of those shared opportunities that we want to see realized around energy and water systems, we already have cross-border partnerships, but there's more opportunities for investment, for growth. We do not have an integrated power electrical system that is desperately needed for resilience, for creating economic opportunity. It's shared to the degree of being able to deploy for emergency purposes, but for general operating purposes, for long-term economic development, that's an opportunity for us to continue to grow our partnerships. For future industries like data centers, they're going to require that cross-border planning and that cross-border energy infrastructure and water infrastructure to support those efforts. Some of the areas where we believe that we have done some of that cross-border work, well, I needed to flip my paper. That was the problem. Part of that continued investment Because where we grow those jobs in Mexico, for every 3 jobs we see grow in Mexico, we see at least 1 develop in New Mexico or in the US. So where we see growth, that empowers growth. So again, that shared community, shared values, shared opportunity. New Mexico, though, is not holding back on our need to make investments and to move this forward. We're not going to wait for the federal government to move. We're going to make our own investments. And what that starts to look like is investments in infrastructure and opportunity. This last legislative session, we passed a bill called our Trade Ports Bill. In that bill, we've got $50 million to develop public-private partnerships to support infrastructure investment in inland trade ports, areas where we have foreign trade zones, where we have existing infrastructure, so that we can look at things like water, wastewater, broadband, planning. There's grants there for planning for public-private partnerships. That program will be administered out of my office. We expect to start deploying those dollars by the end of the year this year. We also got $28 million of funds for site readiness. We've identified 58 potential industrial sites around the state of New Mexico. We are currently characterizing those sites, and we have funds then to start funneling in pre-development infrastructure, environmental reviews, broadband, again, transportation, et cetera. We're going to be ready for investment in New Mexico. It's a brand new investment again this year. Santa Teresa is the fastest growing land port of entry in the US today. And that's why we wanted to double down on the trade ports bill, on the site readiness work. There's no bridge delays there. There's direct links to I-10 and I-25. Union Pacific has built one of their largest intermodal hubs in the Santa Teresa area. And the beauty is, Santa Teresa and the Borderplex region is equidistant between Long Beach, the Port of Long Beach, and the Port of Houston. You can touch 75% of the population of the United States within 2 days from Santa Teresa. That is a unique logistical advantage. Then with the access to Latin American markets and the partnerships with Mexico. So again, I think that Borderplex region and the logistics aspects that it carries are really, really powerful. Part of why it's powerful is this, what I have here online is our new investment in the Doñana County Jetport. I have 9 million there. It's actually 20 million. So I'm not sure why my brain was off on that one. But it's a $20 million investment. We just cut the ribbon last week. And what we did is we reinforced an existing rail jetport with a 150-foot wide runway capable of sustaining 757s. The weight and cargo components to that jetport now went from 50 tons to over 107 tons. So we've created additional capacity to move goods and regional development through the jetport there. But as I mentioned, water is a challenge for the border. It's a challenge for our shared regions. But it's also an opportunity, and we believe that opportunity will create advantage. The governor of New Mexico, Michelle Lujan Grisham, has taken this very seriously. She's created the Strategic Water Fund in New Mexico, which this year, and that's designed to help take advantage of existing water resources that haven't been used before. We have some of the largest brackish water aquifers in North America sitting under New Mexico. Those who didn't know, we used to be a sea, an inland sea. That's why we have lots of gas and oil, but it's also why we have really old dinosaur water. Now we can use that water for industry, for energy development, for other types of things. So she's created this strategic water reserve to characterize those aquifers and to help create the technology to exploit those opportunities. But in addition to that, we've made significant investments this year alone. This year alone, almost $400 million of investments that will go into water projects throughout the state of New Mexico just this year. In my department, we've invested in a couple of different pilot projects to help really move the technology forward. One of them is a project that's with a group called Global Impact Ventures, GIVE. It was almost $2 million in state funding to produce low-cost green hydrogen with the idea that it would come in at less than $2 a kilogram, also creating purified water, and that would also generate surplus electricity. This is a partnership with New Mexico State University and Zia Engineering. Our second one is this is a picture of the second investment we made in a company called Sun Vapor. This is a partnership with the University of New Mexico State, and Southeast New Mexico College in the Permian Basin. This picture of what you see here is a solar hybrid desalination plant for produced water in the Permian. It uses a patented technology, evaporation membrane, and it's a process that will recover 50% of clean water from hypersalinated water. So how many of you know what produced water is? Raise your hand. Okay, so there's a few of you here. Produced water is water that comes up when you bring up oil. So New Mexico's #2 oil and gas state, Texas #1. We have a lot of produced water. If you just think about $1 million barrels of oil a day, which we're doing a lot more than, I think we're twice that now in New Mexico. That means you're going to be producing between 4 and 12 million barrels of produced water a day. What do you do with that? Right now, we send it down a hole. And when we send it down a hole, it can create earthquakes, seismology issues. And it's also not being utilized. So what this sort of technology allows us to do, clean that water, use it for industrial purposes, and then opens up opportunities for mining for critical minerals. So in this water, you're going to find things like gold, tritium, all sorts of other, tritium's not what you would want to find in your water, because that's radioactive. You could find that, but that's part of the testing process, right? Is you make sure where you're pulling the water, you're getting the type of water that you can repurpose. But a variety of critical minerals, we believe, can be mined through this process. And this particular program, and Sun Vapor, was a recipient of a DOE Solar Desalination Prize last year. So we're very excited about this technology. But again, it boils down to those partnerships that we have across the border. Partnerships that are built to last, partnerships that, and I love the analogy to the marriage, because it is something that is stable, is long-term, but in a marriage, sometimes you do have disagreements. Who's going to take the kids to school today? And sometimes they're a little more severe than that. But they're important to work together to get through. And that's, I believe, where we're at, is the focus on how do we do this together to make something stronger. Our partnership with Mexico is our foundation for something bigger. But what that means is how do we, enhancing that partnership is bringing additional resources in. One way we do that is we have hired staff in Taiwan, and we collaborate with the government of Chihuahua, the economic development team with Chihuahua, to market the region in Taiwan. That has shown progress and success. So that Taiwanese investment tied to Mexican manufacturing, New Mexico logistics and workforce equals Borderplex strength. It amplifies what we all do together. And our department has staff, again, in Taiwan, has staff in Chihuahua, and we will soon be opening our Mexico City office so that we're focused on having those communications, building trust, and building those relationships. The successes sound like Foxconn, Westron, Pegatron, HOTA, Symmetrec, Admiral Cable, and others. that have located in Santa Teresa and the Borderplex region. And they've also helped with our exports from our local companies, working in firewood, pecans, wine, beer, and biosciences. And in closing, in New Mexico and our resilience, it really is, we're focused on technology and the jobs of tomorrow. We're focused on infrastructure and the energy that it takes to power it. And we're focused on sustainability and the environmental stewardship. It is those things together that help tell the story of New Mexico and what we believe the story of the border region. It's how we're building the future of trade, careers, and innovation at the Borderplex. And we're very excited to be partnering with you, partnering with the bank. Thank you so much for having me.